Hey, everyone, and welcome again to the Lauren Musica Show, your favorite update in the battle for life, family, and freedom. So excited, so honored that you're with me once again. I'm your host, Lauren Musica, attorney and human rights advocate. And again, I serve as president CEO of Sidewalk Advocates for Life, the nation's largest peaceful sidewalk outreach organization. Okay, so we are down to the last couple episodes of season 3 of the Lauren Musica Show. And I thought we'd do something really interesting for the second to last episode of the season, and that is turn things around and ask someone who is seeing everything that I typically see, and probably a lot more, but we never really get a chance to hear from. He never really is able to comment publicly about what he thinks about what he's seeing or what he feels about what he's witnessing, and that is the guy on the other side of the camera. Andrew is our video dude, as we call him on the Sidewalk Advocates for Life national team. He does all of our video work and serves as the producer for this podcast. And I've joked with him on the side before that he has to be one of the most well-trained non-sidewalk advocates in the country, and probably one of the most well-rounded advocates for life and family. He films a lot of our friends and colleagues as well, because he listens to it all. He records it all. He edits it all. And I'm sure he has moments where he really is reflecting on everything that he's listening to, everything he's seeing. Inevitably, we've had some great car conversations. You know, Andrew and I will go to a closing celebration or we'll go to an event, and then we end up in the car and we're like, hey, that was cool. That was really neat, right? And then our team discusses editing with him, of course, but I've never really sat down with him and unpacked personally what it's been like all these years to be on the other side of the camera. You know, what did Andrew think was cool? What bothered him? What inspired him? And then what did he wrestle with maybe in prayer? So I thought we'd have some fun. In fact, when I told my team we were going to do this episode, they were so excited because now we get to ask Video Dude his thoughts on filming not only us at Sidewalk Advocates for Life, but again, many of our friends and colleagues throughout the movement. Now, full disclosure, Andrew is a Catholic Christian, so of course he has a paradigm or a lens through which he views the world. But I've always found him to be somebody very much who's up for discussion and tossing things around. So I know that whatever POV you're coming from, you're going to enjoy hearing from him. So let me go ahead and introduce Video Dude. Andrew Sciba is a devoted husband and father of 7 who believes in the unique power of film to reveal profound truths about faith, morality, and sacrifice. Since 2015, he has led a successful video production company, leveraging deep creative and managerial experience to guide projects from concept to completion. Grounded in a commitment to meaningful storytelling, he collaborates with filmmakers and industry professionals to responsibly use film as a medium for inspiration and transformation. Wow, what a great bio. Let's welcome to the program our video dude, Andrew Sciba. Hey, Andrew.
Hey, how's it going, Lauren?
Good. How are you?
I'm all right.
Good. So fun. It's so fun to turn this around and get your thoughts here as we get ready to wrap up another season of the podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so let's go ahead and back up for a second. I would love to hear from you how you got into video production work, because you weren't always a video dude. I know at one point you took a leap of faith, you and your wife, and said, let's go ahead and give this a try. So love to hear how that's been, how that's going, and what it's like to change careers midlife.
Yeah. So I actually kind of have been a video guy for most of my life, you know, using a borrowed VHS video camera from my uncle, you know, sitting down and doing news shows, you know, which sort of like morphed into stealing jokes from, you know, Jay Leno and Saturday Night Live. And when I was still probably too young to be watching that, but whatever. And so, you know, my sister and I, we made home movies, you know, about the dogs, you know, growing up really big with aliens and stuff like that. And so
wait a second. You said you made home videos about aliens and dogs growing up?
Yeah. So we made a classic called The Dog That Got Really Big.
Oh.
Eclipsed only by the sequel, The Dog That Got Really Big 2. And so the dogs were like abducted by aliens, and then we would just kind of make them look like enormous dogs. And we'd get little paper skyscrapers and stuff like that, and put dog treats behind the skyscrapers. And so the dogs
Oh,
would come and like eat the people and we would scream and stuff like that. And
that's awesome.
anyway, it was something I've always loved doing.
Yeah.
Um, but I honestly, when I was thinking about college, when I was in high school, I kind of thought, um, if I wanted to pursue it as a career, I'd probably have to move to Los Angeles. And I
Hmm.
just kind of was like, I don't want to move to Los Angeles. I grew up in Plano, Texas, in the Dallas area.
Yeah.
And I had a really active youth group that
Mm.
sort of bleeding into the idea of knowing Peter. I'd known Peter uh, his whole life because I'm older than he is. He was
Mm.
next door to me growing up, and but we had this really active youth group, and I was really growing in my relationship with God, and um, ended up going for a degree in youth ministry and theology at Benedictine College. And so, I after graduation from college, I did that for a few years, worked in a few churches. I ended up teaching theology at a private school for 6 years, which was fantastic. I loved it. Um, and then moved into the commercial insurance industry, which is sort of like this really hard pivot, but seemed like a good idea at the time.
Hmm.
Anyway, I just kind of found myself needing to just to be creative in some sense, and
Yeah.
uh, there's not a lot of creativity there. So, I sort of invested in a camera. I invested in a laptop that could edit videos and um, just I don't know, just little like lights and like really cheap microphones and stuff like that. Lights from Home Depot, all sorts of like
Hmm.
PVC. I used so much PVC at the beginning there, just as light stands um, and just sort of figured out my own way to
Hmm.
create a video setup. And I just kind of volunteered to produce, I wouldn't even call it producing at the time, but to produce a video for a local pregnancy care center
Hmm.
and pregnancy resource center. And I just kind of thought, like, I remember it was just this watershed moment. I'm sitting there at night after work editing this video, and there was I forget the technical term, woman who does sonograms, and she was
Sonographer.
talking, a sonographer. She was there
Not.
was another term that she used. I don't remember
Okay.
exactly what
Fair.
that was,
Fair.
but sonographer, yes, that's yeah. But she was talking about how she had helped a woman who was sort of an at-risk pregnancy, and
Mm.
how it had been very moving for her. And I, sort of got that piece of the interview and I placed it right towards the end, and I had the music swell up at the end, and I was like, and I got choked up while I
Oh,
was editing. And I was just like, this is what I want to do. Like, this is just, this is it. I really don't think I've ever gotten choked up working before.
especially in
Uh,
insurance.
yeah, definitely not in insurance. I know. You
Right.
get choked up for a different reason. It's like, get me out of here.
So,
So
man.
anyway, it was just this moment of like, what
Mm.
is happening? Like, this is fantastic. And I just sort of gave them the video.
Mm.
And then a few weeks later, I got a check for several $100s, which is not something we had talked about, but they just decided to pay me. And
Wow.
this like mental connection happened where it was like, wait, I could do this and I can make money doing
Mm.
this, like
With a
this is a
family on
way
it.
that I could, yeah, this is a
Yeah.
way that I could feed my family. Like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh. And so, fast forward a number of months, and I was out of the insurance job and working full time doing video production. So,
Mm.
at that point, I know that you and I had met. Gosh, when was that? It
Oh
was,
man, I think you and Katie were getting. I mean, it was. I'm
I don't
sure I
even
met
think
you
we
before
were
you and Katie were
engaged though.
getting married, but
Is that like
yeah,
2006, maybe 2000?
something like
It's
that.
been a
That sounds
long
about
time.
right.
So
Yeah.
we were connected. At some point, we were connected again, just in
Mm.
terms of I was the video guy, you were the Sidewalk Advocates CEO, and and I just started doing videos for you guys as well as for other clients. And
Yeah.
now, I mean, that was the end of 2015 that I
Mm-hmm.
started doing that, and it's 2025 now. And I work almost entirely with faith-based nonprofits, and I have been able to travel all over the United States and meet some really amazing people and hear some really amazing stories. And so many of them have been moving and
Yeah.
inspiring. And uh, it's I would say the feeling that I have the most often is that um, it's almost like a sense of reverence with
Hmm.
a lot of the pro-life work that I've done, because there's so much. I mean, there's so much human experience in it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of post-abortive women that I've interviewed,
Mm.
and hearing their story, and that they are entrusting that story with me. Even if it's somebody, even if maybe you're the one asking the questions, it's like I'm there,
Yeah.
I'm filming it, and I'm receiving this story, and it's being entrusted to me. Uh,
Yeah.
and it's the same way with interviewing advocates, and seeing them actually on the sidewalk, if I'm there filming, but hearing their stories about some of the persecution that they've gone through, and their own their own backgrounds and their own stories of coming into the movement has
Mm.
been it's just been so profound that it's like I realize it's a gentle thing, editing these stories, piecing these things together. It's not just like some corporate scripted video, and it doesn't matter, and these guys are actors and whatever. It's like,
And we're selling a widget.
absolutely no.
Yeah.
This is like I have to tell these people's story, and because their stories have value, and their stories, like, they're not selling products, and
Yeah.
so I don't. There is no commodity, and
Yeah.
so there's a real, yeah, sense of reverence, and I just get this uh, idea of how profound it is, working
Mm.
in the pro-life movement. And yeah, it's been very, very rewarding working with
Yeah.
Sidewalk Advocates and other organizations throughout the years, and I'm really glad to do it.
I almost got chills when you said that. Like there's this reverence, hearing these really human stories, you see like a spiritual battle that has either taken place or is taking place, right?
Mhm.
And then you're trying to communicate to the outside world how people should pray, how they should be a part of this, how they can help save and change lives. I know I've shared with you that your videos literally have saved lives because when you get these stories out there, people are watching them, they're getting inspired, they're either praying, they're hitting their knees, or they're like, I got to do something about this. And
Right.
that's pretty powerful.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I mean, I've done, we did the training video a number of years ago, and I know that goes out to, I guess, to all the advocates. I mean, that's just sort of a standard thing. I'll tell you, I have felt pretty removed from a lot of the
Mm.
advocacy. Like, I know that I've I've spent some time on the sidewalk in the
Mhm.
past, at a couple different abortion facilities, just in my own personal life. And, it's something that I think before I had kids was confusing and upsetting.
Mm.
And then after I had kids, and just gaining that other perspective of, like, I have my own babies.
Mm.
And to someone, the life of this child would just be a paycheck, is like, yeah, I just can't stay there for too long. Like,
Yeah.
like the Papa Bear kind of I don't know, just kind of like starts to well up within me, and
Mm.
it would become um, I don't know, at least just where I am right now. I mean, I can be there, I can tell the story, but I feel it affecting me, really, really deep down. And
Wow.
I think it's not that I wouldn't be able um, to learn to be on the sidewalk, but I think at this point in my life, I don't want to get used to it. You know, it's
Yeah.
something that like I don't want to, and maybe you don't. I don't know. I mean, I
Yeah.
think each person sort of approaches it in a different way.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you know, it's like I want to be able to stay sensitive to it.
Right.
Um, and it's in that moment that, or not in that moment, but it's kind of through that when I hear stories, when I'm especially when I'm editing the videos, you know, man, I've got 6 hours worth of interviews in front of me, and I'm sort of picking through and I'm listening to what everybody's saying, and it hits me on such a sensitive level that,
Mm.
you know, it's like I really edit with my feelings a lot.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and it really wasn't until I think when we were in Atlanta this past, I don't know, I think that was 2024. Um,
Hmm.
there was a there was a mom there that we interviewed. She had brought her kid, and she actually said like she had seen one of the videos that I had put out, and that and like in see and I don't remember which one it was, but it was one of the videos that I had edited and then gave to you guys. She saw that video, and after seeing that video, decided that she was going to keep her child. And it
Wow.
was
I don't think I
like,
knew that.
yeah, and it was like this moment where some of the distance between me and saving lives kind of collapsed a little bit. And
Yeah.
I kind of, it was like this, I remember just standing there and I'm just
Mhm.
seeing this child. I'm like, this child is alive, because I mean, God certainly could have used other means to save this child, but you know, it's like through a video that I edited. I don't know. So it was just
So
really mind
cool.
blowing experience for me, and
Yeah.
um, incredibly rewarding. So
That's so cool. Man, to think that somebody is alive because of the work that you've done, right? And no doubt, there's so many more that are alive because of the work that you've done. Because at the very least, we've had so many people who have come to us, watched a closing celebration video, after watching a closing celebration video, and said, I want to be a leader of a sidewalk advocate team at my
mm,
abortion or abortion referral center, you know? So
mhm.
at the very least, that link is not so attenuated. You know, you said something really interesting. You said, you know, you and the sidewalk, like you never kind of really want to get used to that. And do you ever really get used to that? Right. And
Mm,
so I just had the thought, number one, I bet, again, just like all of us in the body of Christ, we all have our place, our role, and sometimes in different times and seasons. It's clear to me that you're in the right spot right now. I don't know what we would do without you. But the other thing, too, when you said that, I thought of a conversation that you and I had in passing one time, and I hope you don't mind me bringing this up. I thought it was a
for
really
sure.
good conversation, but you know, like I said, you and I don't usually get to thoroughly unpack your thoughts on the other side of the camera, but there was one time, I mean, there's a few times here and there, but there was one time in particular where we were on the phone and you said, or you asked me, how are you able to do this every day? Like, how are
Mhm,
you able to talk about abortion every single day? And we had a really, I thought, interesting, great conversation. And maybe it's a grace that God has given me as the present CEO of, you know, this organization, this ministry that does this day in and day out. But I know that, you know, I've been able to find a freedom. I the vast majority of the time when I go to the sidewalk, I'm able to do the ministry that God is calling me to do and leave it. And
mm,
I would guess that to an extent you do the same thing with your video work. You're able to take people's stories and weave them together. And sure, you know, we all have moments where it gets us sometimes, right,
mhm,
right in the soft spot. But um I think that you're in such a powerful place, probably more than you know, and I think that all of us keep that tension, right? It's not like when I go to an abortion facility, even though I have that freedom of, I know God is at work, I know He's doing something powerful here. I mean, it's just a conviction that I'm able to
mhm,
carry with me, you know, before, during, and after. But I'm never for sure excited about going to an abortion facility. You never quite get completely used to it,
Yeah, exactly.
um, but there's also a piece there too. I'm sure that
Yeah.
you even experienced, but you've shared with me too that you've had highs and lows in doing this, just like we all do sometimes on the sidewalk or in ministry. I mean, really, you're in ministry in a special way. So frame that out for me. Like, give me one of like your favorite moments. Like, you filmed this, you were on top of the mountain. This is so cool. And then what has been the hardest thing that you've ever filmed that you've had to experience on the other side of the camera?
Okay. So one of my favorite, I guess, memories of projects, one of the highs was, I think, the first project that we did at the March for Life.
Hmm.
You had called me up and said, "Hey, we're going to the March for Life in like 2 days. I've got this wild and crazy idea. Um, can you come out and film it?" And so you and I walked around the Pro Life Expo. This is prior to 2020, and I don't even remember the year. Was that 2017, maybe something like that?
Hmm.
2018?
Yeah, it's definitely before COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, but you and I just walked around the Pro Life Expo and just interviewed everybody.
Yeah.
And it was fun. Not only just talking to everybody and filming, but to even just see how broad the pro life movement is, and how many different areas of focus exist. Whether that's, yeah, obviously Sidewalk Advocates, and then there were none. Um, and many others. uh, but yeah, it was an exciting moment for me to see how broad it is. And then, being able to be at the March for Life, filming that whole experience, ending in front of the Supreme Court building, and getting everybody's reactions. It was exciting. And then being able to carry the excitement of filming into the edit, and being able to do something, really, really creative, and just kind of at the onset of Sidewalk Advocates, really doing a big kickoff into the video, into sort of
Hmm.
the video production stratosphere, I suppose.
Yeah.
Um, I would say probably one of the low points uh, was the video that we actually just recorded in Boulder, Colorado.
Yeah.
It's just, I did, I've been on, a closed abortion facility tour of the United States, making these videos.
Yeah.
But just being in Boulder, which is a beautiful place,
Yeah.
but being
Gorgeous.
there at, in Warren Hearn's, right in front of his facility that he had opened on like January 20th, 1973. Like, it was like in anticipation of Roe versus Wade, which is kind of crazy. Um,
Hmm.
and you know, he did 44,000 abortions there, late term abortions there, and just how difficult it was being at that facility. And then also, what's evident in the video is I mean, at some point there's a cross. It's sort of Jesus, it's sort of the resurrected Jesus, um, with a cross behind him. And then there's a neighboring clip in the video that's a plaque, and it says something along the lines of, under this cross lie the remains of babies aborted, um, and that they are now resting in the Father's arms, or something along those lines.
Yeah.
Uh, and it was, I mean, for me, hearing the story of what had happened, the morgue called the parish and said, "We have 5,500 bodies of
Hmm.
aborted children here, and our workers are starting to freak out, and we don't know what to do with these." And the parish is like, "We'll take them." And so the babies were cremated and then buried, sort of entombed in the sort of the platform underneath this cross. And while, yes, we look at Christ and the redemption that he offers, and the salvation that he offers, in gives to all those who believe in him, right?
Yeah.
And who are called according to his purpose, and all of the hope from the Gospels. It's still just a moment of, I mean, when I heard about it when we were there, and I walked over to that area, I thought I definitely need to film this, and I walked over and found the cross and saw the plaque, and I just almost, I mean, I started sobbing for one, but
Mm.
I'm like, I don't even know how to process this. Like, this is
Yeah.
absolutely insane that this is going on, and it was just
Yeah.
like, um, and praise be to God that it's over, that chapter is over at least.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Most late
but
term abortion facility in the country just closed, right? But
yeah,
it's almost like you're seeing the middle of the story again, right? Right
yeah,
there at that parish. And the fact that these were children that lost their lives late into pregnancy. I mean, we, of course, we're against abortion at any stage, but for the
right,
humanity of the baby is so apparent later in pregnancy and just the injustice of that, really, right? And
right,
or the hurt around all of that too. Yeah.
right, right. And yeah, I mean, it was just such an emotionally impactful moment for me. I actually showed the video to a friend of mine, and he said, what the audio clip underneath, I believe it's you saying, one of the darkest places in our country, and what's on the screen while you're saying that is the cross with Jesus there. And my friend's like, why is Jesus on the cross while she's talking about the darkest place in the country?
Hmm.
And I just sort of realized, like, I had just kind of like paired up those clips of, the cross and that platform with the babies entombed within
Mm,
it, with the darkest part of the country, and that was kind of a
yeah.
reflection of me just kind of saying, like, oh my gosh, this definitely has to go here. And it wasn't
Yeah.
even so much like, um, I mean, he was just catching the juxtaposition of what you were saying versus the risen Lord, but he was
Yeah.
not aware of the story of anything else like that. So I had, that's
Mm,
definitely something to take into consideration with editing. But I mean, ultimately,
powerful.
it's some of the projects can be really challenging to get through. And
Yeah.
and hearing and kind of reliving some of the stories and the interviews. But I just kind of
Mhm.
continue to pray and surrender that to God. And um,
Mm,
I don't know. I mean,
yeah.
obviously John 3:16, everybody loves John 3:16. It's a great verse. Um, John 3:17 has always really stood out to me. It's that God did not send his son into the world to condemn the world, but that the world through him might be saved.
Ooh, that's so good.
And
Yeah,
it's just
that just
like,
hit me in a certain way. I was just thinking about something and that just yeah, right? Like he didn't come to be- belittle us, chastise us, tell us we're wrong constantly. He came to redeem us and transform us and give us so much more than sometimes we
right.
give ourselves. And you think about the women that were lied to hand their
Mhm.
babies over, that in order to have the life that they wanted, maybe relentless pressure from a partner or a family member, um, these women that thought there's no way I can handle a child with special needs. And, you hear about these medical professionals that sometimes even lock the door in the middle of the anatomy scan when they get bad news about how their
Mm.
baby's developing. And they say, yeah, you can't leave here until you schedule an abortion, right? I mean, I know you've heard all those stories
Yeah.
and
Oh yeah.
yeah. And, but you've even highlighted something that I know we've talked about and we talk about here at Sidewalk Advocates for Life is that ironically, the stories you're telling are not the end of the story, you know?
Mm.
That's the good news about all of this. And it's really forward thinking. The other thing I appreciate that you do, Andrew, too, is like we name the problem. We don't shy away from saying, hey, this is what is really going on here. But we also don't shy away from giving people the hope that we have in Christ.
Hmm.
Because the truth of the matter is, that every abortion, every sin, every weight that we carry as human beings can be taken to the cross and transformed, you
Hmm.
know? And
Hmm.
you and I get to see the resurrection with all of that. Sometimes we're in the middle of the story and the story's not done and it can be tough, right? But
Right.
the good news is we're pointing them to something that inevitably will come if they do not give up, right?
Absolutely. And, I mean, through not just the videos that I've produced, but also just meeting other people, whether that's, Abby Johnson or I mean,
Mm,
honestly, like anyone else, particularly former abortion workers. I know that seeing, and even in the context of current abortion workers, seeing the that was a real struggling point for me before I started doing pro life work.
yeah.
And just kind of not thinking. And honestly, this is even before I found John 3:17. Where I was just like, how can you not condemn these?
Yeah.
But I think at the same time, I had not come face to face with my own need to be saved.
Mm,
Like I thought,
ooh,
oh, I can just say enough prayers and be a good enough person and do enough jumping jacks or whatever,
yeah.
and I can be saved. But it's like through Christ we are saved. God sent him not to condemn the world. If he's not condemning the world, I certainly can't condemn it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I need to be saved the same way that anyone else needs to be saved. Whether that's, the abortionist on down to, I mean, the smallest of people. It's like Jesus needs to save all of us. And
Yeah.
so like I can just pray for myself, pray for my family, pray for you, pray for anyone else that I meet on the street, the abortionists, the abortion workers, because I mean we are all on our path towards God,
Mm,
and hopefully we're all going to start listening at some point in our paths and start following Him, and there's so much time for conversion,
yeah.
and um, and no time for condemnation. You can
Yeah.
look at what somebody's doing and, sort of be, uh, just kind of say, this isn't right. I'm going to go out and I'm going to stand on the sidewalk and pray. And we are in opposition to the escorts that are out there. But ultimately, Christ wants to save them too.
Yeah.
And, so I don't know. Just I've received such a wonderful perspective, not just in terms of the movement, but in the way that Christ works in
Mm,
my life and in the lives of the people around me, through
mhm,
seeing the way that He has had mercy on so many people and the lives that He has restored and
mhm,
called to Himself. It's just like in ways so much more tremendous than He's even worked in my own life, which has been tremendous. But
mm,
so I'm really thankful for
mhm.
the stories that I've been able to hear and the people that I've been able to meet, and stories I've been able to tell, through Sidewalk Advocates.
That's so good. Revelation, uh, in Revelation, there's a verse that says they conquered him, meaning the evil one, by the blood of the Lamb and the word of their testimony. And I've
Mhm.
often thought, how can Planned Parenthood and the abortion industry argue with very real human story? I think that that is going to be a
Mhm.
key to completely changing culture. And I hope that we continue to have the budget and an even bigger budget to tell more of these stories because, like you've highlighted, they're so profound. It's why I have such hope. I can go through, just like anybody else, tough things in my life, walk through a trial or whatever. But so much brings me back to what I witness on the sidewalk that if I can be friends with somebody, and I'm not saying this from any point of pride. I'm just saying, like, this is the lion and the lamb laying down together, right? We have a believer who, maybe hasn't participated in abortion or whatever it is. And they're really good friends now with somebody who managed an abortion facility and under her watch committed 22,000 abortions. That's former Planned Parenthood director Abby Johnson. I used to stand outside of her abortion facility praying and reaching out, right? And now she's a dear friend. And these stories are all over the place, but the other thing that you highlighted that's so profound, Andrew, and that I really hope everybody hears, because again, many people who have been pro-life all their lives and grown up in Christian homes, they're like, oh, how could anybody do that? How could anybody work for the abortion industry? And usually what I've found is that sometimes when you initially say that, you're not realizing just how much God has saved you from
Mhm.
yourself and from your own sin, right? And how it's just as ugly as any other sin. And um, it's been beautiful to see the transformation, especially, for example, with abortion workers, people who were in this super dark industry. I mean, I know a worker who worked alongside Kermit Gosnell, the House of
Mhm.
Horrors in Pennsylvania, one of the darkest abortion facilities. They delivered babies and killed them after birth, too, and again, it's bad at any
Mhm.
stage, but the humanity of the child is so much more apparent. And she even went to prison for 2 years. And I still remember the day that Roe v. Wade was overturned. We're at the pro-life women's conference, and she's standing on stage singing Amazing Grace. And these
Mhm.
abortion workers have helped me so much grow and realize the power of grace and realize the ugliness of my own sin and what God has saved me from. So, and it even hit me at one point, like, we have to be so careful. We have to be so careful to say that, oh my gosh, yeah, I grew up in this Christian home and I've never participated with abortion in any way. And, we put ourselves on this pedestal sometimes and say, oh, I would never do that. Everybody does it, right? Everybody does it to an
Mhm.
extent with one sin or another. But at the end of the day, these stories, these real human stories, have, I know, helped to transform me and so many other people. So
Mhm.
it's powerful.
Mhm.
Um, we've got just a few minutes here. I would love to hear from you the most useful thing that you learned while you were filming, like you didn't know before, but you were like, that is so good. Like, it could be anything, the most mundane thing or something profound. I don't know. But what did you learn where you were like, that is, everybody needs to know this,
Um, do you mean just like in terms of filming, or that has been revealed to me through the interviewee?
Either.
Okay, charge your batteries. That's
Charge your batteries. That's awesome.
yes, there have
Always
been
be prepared.
so many moments in the middle of the night, 2:45 a.m. typically, something like that, where I'm just like, I gotta charge my batteries, and it's like, I'll be in, whatever, Timbuktu, USA, and
Hmm.
I'm like gonna meet everybody to film first thing in the morning, and I wake up and realize I haven't charged the battery, so I got to charge all the batteries. Um, so I mean, that's definitely it. I think probably this is somewhat related. One of the most profound things that has affected my life, I guess it's pretty simple. I was interviewing somebody and we were talking about kids, and I've got 7 kids, two in heaven, 5 upstairs, literally upstairs, like right here. Um, and I was really stressing out about trying to like convey the faith to them and help them to be faithful, and to grow up and to not go astray. I'm trying to train them up in the way that they should live. And the guy I was interviewing just kind of like took a timeout from the interview almost, and just kind of started talking to me about how like God is the source of faith and I'm not the source of faith.
Wow.
And I'm like, oh yeah, like because I had spent, like I said, 6 years as a theology teacher, and the prior 3 years, so like 9 years teaching youth, high school students about faith,
Mm.
and about, um, and trying to get them involved in their faith and learn how to pray and all of that. I had like been a professional faith injector guy.
Hmm.
But when it came to my kids and the fact that I'm going to see them for the rest of my life, and I'm going to be a part of their lives kind of, indefinitely. Um, I was really stressing out about, what am I going to do about their faith?
Mm,
And there are so many people that I've encountered over the years who have kids that have left the faith. I mean, their kids are in their
mhm,
20s or 30s or something like that. Um, and typically, I mean, my oldest is 15, so he's still going to church. He loves God. It's great, and everybody else kind of follows suit, which is wonderful. Um, but you know, with these older sort of people in the next generation, who have kids that are in their 20s and 30s, who have asked, they've asked me like, what did I do something wrong? And
mm,
I don't know. I mean, I can kind of answer the best that I can, but I can't speak from experience. But God is ultimately the deliverer of faith. I mean, as parents, we can
mm.
do what we can to pass on the faith and to pass on, um, just a faithfulness, kind of a culture of faith to teach our kids about God. But whether or not they're going to hold to that is not something that we can control. I'm not the God of my children.
Yeah,
And, they are in their own walk with Him. And
yeah,
that might, hopefully not, but that might involve them walking away from God for 20 years. I have
yeah,
no idea.
right.
But, like I said before, it's, Jesus is there to save. I'm
Yeah,
not there to save. I can't even save myself,
right,
like much less all of my kids. So,
right.
um, just so that idea that, faith is a theological virtue, it comes from God. It doesn't come from anyone here. It doesn't come
Yeah,
from me. It was this real moment of, I'm not my kid's higher power.
yeah, yeah,
Okay, great. And it was as a moment of freedom for me, and a freedom to trust in God that, he's gonna do what he does to take care of me. He's gonna do that with the kids too. He's gonna do that with
so
anyone
good.
else that I run into.
I heard something today. I've heard it before, but I heard it again. It said that, it's our job to plant seeds with people in our lives, our
Hmm.
kids, our spouses, our friends, our family, whoever, right? Acquaintances, people, passersby. It's our job to plant seeds. It's the Holy Spirit's job to convict, right? And we're
Yeah.
not in control of that. And I know that I've learned that in the best way on the sidewalk because it's hard
Hmm.
sometimes to plant seeds with a woman, invite her, you do everything you can to offer help, you do everything that you can to offer hope, but she has to say yes to it. And it's the
Hmm.
same, I would say, problem that God has even saddled himself with, which is that he allows us to respond in freedom. And
Hmm.
I'm not so good at remembering that sometimes. I'm
Right.
not the savior he is, right? I think we're all learning that to one extent or another still.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
so
Well, I'll
good.
tell you, planting seeds. I mean, what comes to my mind, and I wish that there was, I don't know, maybe Sidewalk Advocates will do like a, big anthology piece with like tons and tons of interviews. But I mean, there's something that I'm pretty sure has not made it into a video, but an advocate, I think this was in Atlanta. I
Mm,
don't know. It might have been Charlotte. Whatever. It was some wonderful advocate was, um, telling a story of, it wasn't even like a save that they had. It was,
mm,
they had been out there every day for years and years. And then there was a woman, a young lady who had gotten pregnant, and she was like 18 or something like that. And she went to her mom and said, "Mom, I'm pregnant." And her mom
mhm.
said, "I know exactly where to go." And so she drove outside of the abortion facility to connect to the Sidewalk Advocates who were out there, because she
Wow.
just knew that the advocates had resources and they would know what to do.
Yeah.
And
Mm,
so it was not someone who was even contemplating abortion, but it was like, we know where to
mhm.
go here, and so the advocates being out there are planting seeds. And it's not even necessarily like, with the people going into the facility, but it's the people sometimes in the traffic, like passing by every single day,
Yeah.
uh, that they realize, oh, there are resources out here. If no one's standing in front of the facility, kind of like advertising resources, then, all sorts of people who might be contacting the PRCs otherwise would just sort of be like, well, I guess there's no option, so we'll have to go, get an abortion or something like that. It could be a
Yeah.
much worse outcome, but there are all kinds of seeds constantly being planted by the advocates, and those are the people that I am, I guess, that I admire the most. I mean, I've
Mm.
seen, if I can kind of like keep going here, there was, we did a video on the group in Charlotte, and part of that video, for better or for worse, the escorts had been very active on TikTok, and they had been posting all of these videos of the ways that they had been abusing. And I would just call it abuse. I mean, they didn't touch them, but all the different ways that they thought was hilarious that they had been abusing the sidewalk advocates.
Yeah.
Um, and what was so profound to, and some of those clips made it into the video, but what was so profound to me was how they could just be doing the most vile things around the advocates, and the advocates were just so well trained, and they were just there, and they were quiet, and they were
Mm.
praying, and the peaceful, prayerful, law abiding presence, and
Mm.
it was just absolutely amazing. There was, and again, it's the kind of thing that you can't, it doesn't have a place in the story, but there was this TikTok clip that I didn't use where the escort had her camera, and there's, some people who are not affiliated with sidewalk advocates, and they're yelling and screaming back, and it's this whole like fighting, and she's like yelling at this guy, and then she goes to the next person, yelling at this guy, goes to the next person, yelling at this guy, and then goes to the person wearing the sidewalk advocate's vest who's just standing there praying, and then she just goes back to these people and starts yelling, yelling, yelling. And she just knows the sidewalk advocate's guy is not going to respond. He's not going
Interesting.
to get into it.
Yeah.
And I saw that. I'm like, this is sidewalk advocates like on display right here,
That's so cool.
affecting the escort who knows he's not going to engage. And so
Yeah.
she just goes back to the other people on the sidewalk who are trying to be helpful, but really just participating in the circus.
So neat. Yeah, what a witness. And I get to serve these people every day, so I get to say it, right? What a witness, what amazing saints.
Mhm.
So good. For those who are listening, if it hasn't come out already, expect another great video from Andrew. We're going to tell the story of the closing of the Boulder abortion clinic, which Andrew said has probably been the toughest project that he's done for us thus far, but a powerful story because, again, America's most late term abortion facility has closed its doors for good. And just a reminder, too, to pray for Dr. Warren Hearn, who's
Mhm.
84. I believe he's 84 years old, right? You can rattle these facts off now just as well as I can, Andrew. You did all the editing for the video, but and how to record all these stories. But it's a pretty powerful thing to think that this facility has closed its doors for good. Now, I will ask everybody to pray because there's rumblings of a couple staff members who may want to reopen a late term facility in Boulder. So we just, of course, pray that that does not happen.
Mhm.
So, yeah. Well, Andrew, this has been so much fun. Thank you so much for being a guest on the
Mhm.
podcast, the very one that you produce. And hey, if people need your video services going forward, how can they contact you?
Yeah. So the business is called Stella Productions. The website is stellaprod.com, prod like productions. Or you can just email me directly, andrew@stellaprod.com. And yeah, I love to hear from anybody who's interested in video, whether it's nonprofit based or not. I mean, I do all kinds of stuff. So yeah,
Mhm.
I love doing it, and I love building the kingdom in that way, and supporting my family as well. So
Yeah, necessary thing. And
yeah,
yeah, you get to have fun doing it. So awesome. Thank you again so much for being with us. Now I get to kick you out and do the closing thought.
all righty.
See ya.
See you
Thank
later.
you. Okay, closing thought. I've often thought about those who service in the work we do in various spaces, the video vendors, sound guys at church, the women and men who service at galas and banquets. And sometimes I stop and I look at them and I'm like, what do they think about what they're hearing, right? Like they have to listen to this entire program. They have to listen to this entire argument for why abortion's not a good idea or something related, right? And sometimes I wonder, have they experienced abortion? Do they need to hear about Christ? And it hit me at one point that you never know who is listening as they provide a service to you. And really the bottom line here is that someone in our life is always watching us, what we say, how we live, and therefore what we really believe. So my question to you is, if someone is watching you, they're maybe watching a little bit of a life in review, and you never tell them maybe that you're a believer, is there enough evidence to convict you? As a world in need watches you, are you someone that they are inspired to keep watching? It's really something to think about and something that haunts me as well. All right. Well, thank you again so much, everyone, for joining me for another episode of the Lauren Musica Show. We'll be back here next Friday at 9 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Central on Facebook, YouTube, and wherever you get podcasts. Thanks so much, everybody.